Hi, it's Ren from Spirits of Fashion. Today on Style and Stories by Ren, we're going to be, as promised, showing you ways to style the Romantic period 1820 to 50 on a budget. And I'm sticking mostly with the 1830s because the 1830s have the dramatic sleeves. So it's easier if I have the things I've been finding over the years that you can really tell that it's influenced by this period. So that's what I'm going to do. And I'll start with what I am wearing. I found this piece, probably a month ago in a thrift shop. And I know it's hard to tell. It's one piece. It's got shorts underneath it, which I will not pull the skirt up, don't worry. But it's a short set, but the sleeves are so dramatic. It's like the gigot sleeves of the 1830s, almost. Let me show you. I'm going to go back to one of the giant sleeves that I showed before in the 1830s. Okay, these sleeves were the gigot sleeves that I had talked about, and they're just like big balloons. Now, they came down a little lower. I can pull these down to make that happen, but that's pretty much what we're looking at in terms of sleeves. So knowing that, I'm going to go ahead and show you some other pieces that I have that sort of match that giant sleeve. You're going to laugh maybe at this. I found this recently at the thrift store. This is a cropped jean jacket that have more of a leg of mutton sleeve, which when I get to the 1890s, you'll get to see more of that. But because the sleeves are so puffy, I think that it would make a great little cover-up for sort of imitating a little bit of 1820s to 30s style. And because it's short, the waistline was still a little bit high. It wasn't empire, but it was a little bit on the shorter side, not at the natural waist. So this fits because it is like a crop jacket. And I've been wearing this a lot just with regular clothes lately, but you can certainly use this as kind of having fun with a long skirt and perhaps this little jean jacket over it to make it look like the 1830s. I found a dress probably 6 to 8 months ago. Same deal, sort of leg of mutton, but it's a navy blue. It's hard to tell on camera, I know, but a navy blue dress that it's velvet and it has giant sleeves. So even if they're sort of leg of mutton, they're very much like the 1830s because they're so full all the way down. They don't get narrow and they end in a long cuff. So I thought this would be a really cool way. I wore this to a wedding, my niece's wedding, and it really worked. I belted it and made it look really modern. So that also can be done, but I love the idea of having something as simple as this that I probably paid $5 for that you can actually use for this period, for the 1890s, for some of the 20th century fashion that came out that had big sleeves again. I know we had them a little bit in the 1970s as well. So, and in 1980s. Some of us who got married around that time had these big princess sleeves too. So you can use them for many different decades. So look for these big sleeves when you go out shopping or thrifting. Another piece is this one that I got at the thrift store. This is more leg of mutton because it has a wide sleeve. It's a black velvet, sort of a crushed velvet, and it's got the sort of leg of mutton here and a very long straight cuff. So very, very cool in terms of trying to put this with a skirt. And so you kind of imitate the 30s, even though it's not as voluminous as the sleeves that we see in this particular image. So I love the fact that this was found, again, probably about $4 to $5, and it's just used. You can use it with modern clothing. You can use it with any kind of mix and match with vintage too. So if you have a vintage longer skirt, for example, even if it's from the 70s, the maxi skirts, this would be a great complement. This is modern, but because it has that vintage style to it or antique fashion style, it really makes a difference in making your outfit eclectic, interesting, and sort of being more of a subtle imitation to a certain era, a decade, or even a mix of decades, which I really like to do, specifically. Skirts are another way, but before I get to that, I'm going to go into the jacket I found at a vintage store right here in Bellows Falls, Anastasia's Vintage, and this is a theatrical piece, and it is so perfect because the sleeves, again, you'd think leg of mutton, but it actually is quite full all the way through and has a little bit of padding up here to make it even fuller. And the cuffs have little buttons, and it just ties up here, which really makes it look vintage or antique, in my opinion. And this is beautiful, just a brown lining, but I love the print because it's very historic looking, 18th century even. And I love that it's a neutral, so this can be put with really anything to make a little bit of a statement when you're looking to do vintage or antique dressing, or at least make your modern style more interesting with this standout little jacket / cape. So I just love this. I fell in love with it. I paid up a little more than I would at a thrift store, but vintage stores are different. They are always a little bit more money, but boy, if you love something, it's worth it, and grab it when you see it because, of course, it's going to be gone the next time you go, most likely. So I couldn't wait to show you that. And then we'll show you some skirts. The skirt I have on, I know it's hard to see, but it's just a black brown, dark brown tiered skirt that has, many ruffles, but it is to the floor. It's a maxi. And it's perfect. I thrifted it for a few dollars years ago. And what I love is that it can be used for a lot of different eras. When we get into Victorian, we'll use it for that. I just did an event, and I wore this just yesterday. I had gone to do an event for a senior center, and they were thrilled with the outfit. I had a different top on, but it was definitely more Victorian style, and people like whatever I put together because I try to imitate as much as I can without wearing the real thing. Things that are that old are often very fragile and probably not great to wear. So that's why I'm trying to teach people how to find things in secondhand stores or thrift stores that can imitate a fashion but are still very wearable without worrying about damaging it. So that skirt, and then I have some imitation boots on. They are a historical reproduction of a cream colored with lace inserts with a Louis heel, and they lace up the front. And so that would have been a perfect walking boot for many of these eras, especially Victorian, but I'm wearing it because these shoes go with this skirt, just makes the outfit. The belt is a recent thrift find. It's so funny because it's stretchy, but many of the belts from back then had bigger buckles, or bigger of center pieces to it, and it just snaps in the back. So it fits many more waist sizes because it stretches, but nobody really looks and says, oh, she's got a stretchy belt on. It just adds to an outfit and kind of pulls the whole thing together, whether it's vintage, whether it's the modern fashion. It just sort of locks in a particular feeling about an outfit and makes it, I think, more special. 3 skirts I brought today. This one is one of these are wild, but think costumey. If you are looking to find a long skirt to wear, whether it's 1820s, 30s, or 1840s. Now the 1840s, the skirts were fuller. This skirt can be very full. Probably wouldn't have been this bright blue with all these spangles on it, but the whole idea is you don't have to be, I'm very much a purist with vintage and antique fashion, but when you're dressing up to imitate an era and you just want to have fun, it doesn't matter. This is you expressing yourself. So I found this thrifting. Again, this is many layers. So if you had an under petticoat or something that would make it stick out a little bit more, it would look more maybe like 1840s or even 50s. So it's bright blue. It's a crazy color. You could wear this, believe it or not, with a white t-shirt and a jean jacket, and it would be a really unique outfit. This jean jacket would give the feel of the 1830s, as I said, but you'd be wearing a crazy, colorful, really fun skirt with it. So you're adding your own personality to it. Same idea, another thrift find. This is not as long, but it's this deep green with sequins and a lot of beautiful design on the bottom of it, and very high. It's a high rise, so you can belt it right here so easily. And I love the forest green color, almost like a deep emerald color. And it's great because it's so versatile. And you can use it for just a party and wear more modern clothing on top. This isn't antique or vintage, but it definitely has a feel of it. So you can wear, a top or a jacket that would complement it, but this again would be your statement piece rather than having, a lot going on. If you're not that kind of person, you might want one statement piece, but you're still kind of following the whole idea of how to dress in a vintage style or a semi-vintage style. It can be subtle. It doesn't have to be in your face. But these are some of the ways you can do that. Lastly, in terms of what I brought, in the thrift store I've talked about before in town in Chester, Andover, we have a thrift shop that I work in in the evening on Thursdays. My husband is managing it. They have upstairs, if you live in the area and you're looking to go to something special and you need something fancy, on the top floor is what they call the prom room. And they have prom dresses, all secondhand, some with a tag still on them though. So prom dresses and long skirts, fancy accessories. And for men, they have suits of all styles, even tuxes. And for $20, you get a dress or a suit plus accessories for $20. So I bought this dress. This was a full dress, but I had the seamstress that I took it to take off the top and make a skirt out of it. Let me go this way. I can't tell which way I'm going. Here you go. So look at this. Talk about the look of a ball gown. And it just has this gorgeous gray and pink belt, and the back has a sash. So the back of that belt is actually a long sash that you can either leave hanging or tie in a bow. And can you imagine if you went to some kind of a party, a fancy dress ball or dance, or you are going to like a nice fancy wedding where they kind of want more black tie. You wear this with a sparkly top, and that's your full outfit. If you want to imitate the 30s, 40s, or 50s in the 1800s, then you're looking at a great ball gown. You can wear a very simple off-the-shoulder top because it'll be evening, right? And it'll make what looks like a dress. So if you can get something that would really coordinate with the color of a skirt like this, you can actually have it tailored even more to make it tighter and almost off the shoulder, and then wear it tucked inside this skirt. So don't sleep on prom wear, because everybody does that. Everybody brings their old prom dresses, right? Sometimes their prom clothing to thrift stores. Many people do that, and you can find some wild things and think of new ways to use them. So this would make the perfect ball gown. And what I love is that it's already done for you. It's even got the petticoat underneath, the netting, the tulle. And people who love to dress up. I have someone I listen to, podcast. She's worn ball gowns to the supermarket, I kid you not. She feels like wearing it, she's going to wear it. So what I say is, go for it. I haven't done that yet. I'm not planning on doing that. But I'm just saying, express yourself whenever you can, wear what you love, and if you want to try and bust out of your old rut, try something new, look at period fashion and say, geez, I've got a jacket that has a sleeve like that, or I have a skirt that's a lot of layers, and see how you can make it fit in. Pinterest is a great way to do that. Pinterest is a way to kind of look at styles and say, okay, maybe this would be fitting. I can mix it with this like this particular picture has, and I already have it in my closet. Keep that in mind. One other thing I have, and this was another thrift find, I think at our thrift store. It's vintage. It's 70s, but it would work for the period I'm talking about now, or even the, if you're going into Victorian and you would wear a cape, a short cape, especially during the bustle period in the 70s. We'll be getting to that soon. But the 70s and 80s, you needed room to have a bustle in the back of your dress. So you needed a cape that was voluminous enough to be able to let the bustle rest under that, or short so that the bustle kind of breaks free on its own. And we'll be talking more about that. But this is a very versatile kind of a piece to thrift. So it's vintage too. So it's really fun to wear as, in the fall, for example, and it's got buttons so you can button it up, but wear it with, a shirt, t-shirt, a blouse, over a dress. That's modern. And just make this your centerpiece. Like I always say, this is the statement, and then what you're wearing with it is simpler. And that's the way I think to go through that. So don't sleep on some of these stores that you think, well, why am I going to bother to do that? I have plenty of things in my closet. Check your closet first. If you don't see anything in the closet that you have that will correspond, make a list, go to the thrift stores, go to secondhand stores and say, oh man, I'm really resonating with this particular era. I've got to find a few pieces. And you will. Because the more places you go to and the more often, the more things are coming out. People keep bringing things in and they'll find you. That's what I think. I think pieces tend to find you rather than you trying to work so hard to find something on your own. So I'm going to just show you a couple of more styles because I have a shawl. I want to show you how you can work. So here we're looking at this particular slide. You're going to see a woman. This is the big sleeve. Again, we're still in the 1830s. Over these ladies, over their dresses is called a pelerine. So it's like a big cape, but it has two pieces coming down, okay? So it's not a cape that closes. It's more like you drape it over, almost like a scarf would. And then it has two smaller, thinner pieces that come down. So you can wear a shawl. Someone close to me, I have a good friend who made this for me, and you can put this over a big sleeve. Like this doesn't really match it, but just so you get the idea. And what you do is you just pull it over like they have it, and then take the two ends like this, tuck it in your belt, and there you go. You get the same look for pennies, or like I said, someone made this for me. But if you have a scarf like this kind of a shape, almost a shawl shape, there's so many out there in thrift stores, easily find what you want. But little shawl or a little cape or a little scarf, big scarf that has these ends, the great thing is you can really imitate that look of the 1830s. So that's one way you can do it. Another thing you can do, if you're looking at menswear, menswear is fun because it's very easy to find things, in my opinion, that are more menswear during this period. Top hats, I have a couple of the real ones. I have an antique one that's beaver, and I have a vintage one that's beaver, but you can find in costume shops, sometimes you can find them in antique shops, but you can find a top hat and just have fun with that. But I like to work on the clothing. We talked about Regency last time and how to style on a budget, for Regency fashion. But any kind of a coat, look in the men's section. Even if you're a smaller person, look at the boys. Because I can't tell you how many cool things in the boys section or the men's section that you can sort of feel you're dressing more of the men's style. So I'm going to go ahead and go a little bit further for a minute and show you this certain picture right here. And you can see all kinds of things going on. You know, you see a giant top hat, but you see a kind of a fitted coat with, you can see the waistcoat and just a white shirt, either with a bow tie or, you know, just a short little ascot that you can tie around there. And then, you know, a slim trouser like you see there. All of that can add up to easy finds in the thrift store. I found a man's really small man's white tuxedo shirt in Savers one day, and I bought it, and I wear it all the time. So these things are really easy to find. Sometimes you have to go to the men's section to find them. And then the big cape you see on the gentleman way over on the right. These things can be found. My best tip, because we're not too far from Halloween, right? We're going to spooky season. As soon as thrift stores come out, maybe mid-September, they come out with their Halloween stuff. Go to the big thrift stores. We don't have many around here, but wherever you can find a thrift store, see if they have a Halloween section, because you will find things, even vintage, that people that are putting them out are thinking, you know, we're going to put this aside for Halloween. So you can find capes, cloaks, you can find vintage shirts and all kinds of things that are saved for the Halloween time of sales. So try that out. I've done it. It works. I've found some great things for minimal prices, or costume pieces that aren't old, but that look like something you could wear for a certain era. So I'm going to go ahead and end with that today, and hope you had fun. Hope that I inspired you to try to get out there shopping and make sure that you look for the pieces that inspire you. I would definitely recommend going through Pinterest. Just type in whatever you're looking for in terms of eras. If you like what you've seen here, I've given you some tips, and we'll move along into the rest of the 19th century, and we'll look at what else you can find to inspire you. So get out there, start thrifting, start expressing yourself, and I'll see you next time. Bye.